It is truly a privilege to represent the board and the Partners Council of the National Fund, and first to thank our sponsors because we couldn't do it without you, but to welcome all of you to this convening at a time of great change and great opportunity for those who are committed to investing in the talent supply chain. The roots of that change and opportunity are seen in the increase in articulation from the White House to the State House to the boardroom to the shop floor. Everybody is talking about the need for change in how we access, how we attract, how we grow, and how we retain the talent that we will need for the future. That change in opportunity is evidenced by a growing realization that talent development is a competitive advantage in the marketplace, and we're going to hear from folks who certainly are committed to that.
And what we have today is a real treat because we're going to delve into three very different sectors: in healthcare, in transportation, and in manufacturing, and get a really good sense of the texture of these companies and what generates success for these companies and why these three companies have made a commitment and are making a real investment in their workers. Tell us a little bit about Norton Healthcare and what, in a way that can help all of us get a sense of the texture, what does success look like and who's part of that success story?
So success for us is having a group of associates, employees who value having great human interactions at all levels. The one thing we know for sure at Norton Healthcare is we can't be successful if only one area or level of our organization is successful. Mm-hmm. That's why we've chosen to invest in programs like elevating the frontline employee. When you look at the interactions that take place, the person who typically, if you want to use this terminology of the food chain, the person that's at the top of that food chain, the physician, spends less time with the physician than the environmental services worker who's in there 2 to 3 times a day making sure the room is good and avoiding infection control. So we look at it from the standpoint of we have to invest in all levels of employees, and we have to make sure that everyone feels engaged and empowered to create those great human interactions.
Does that environmental service worker have as crisp a view as you've just described of his or her role in that whole system?
They have to feel that we view them as an important part of the process. Mm-hmm. So you have to, on an individual basis, say, how can we help you make your life better? Mm-hmm. How can we help you get skills that will help you grow and develop? But it's not just necessarily about work. How can we help you with courses in what we call Norton University, our workforce development training program? How can we help you manage money? How can we help you understand how to stay out of debt? How do we invest in you as a person? That's really how we build that culture so that they feel very much part of a bigger organization. And by the way, folks, people in healthcare are called to be in healthcare.
Sure.
Rarely do you find somebody who just stumbles into healthcare. So we're fortunate that we have a workforce that felt a calling to serve others.
Right.
How do we fulfill that for them, and how do we give them a work environment where they can do that?
We tend to assume that this is the case in healthcare, but let's take a look at transportation, Carl Robinson. Talk to us a little bit about a day in the life of R&R Transportation, and give us a sense of your business and your model and who are your customers and what's important in your success equation.
Most people think that the drivers are not an intricate part of the business, but they're the most important part of the business. Because without someone to drive the vehicle, I can't drive 14 vehicles. So I need them more than they need me. Our industry has a turnover rate at times of over 110%.
Wow, that's impressive.
There's over 200,000 drivers, a 200,000 driver shortage in the United States. And that's just drivers, that's not counting support people. I don't know exactly the words, but he basically said people will work for you for your money, but they'll work for you more if they understand your why and why you do what you do and how they can be a part of it, and they'll work for you for more than money then.
we can see this in a healthcare job because you're helping people, they come in and they have need, but in driving a truck, you're able to create that same sense of purpose.
Right.
How do you do that?
Well, basically, my drivers have their own business cards, and they give them out to our customers. We don't have a salesperson. I'm not a good salesperson, so I don't hire salespeople. My drivers are my best salespeople, and we've continued to grow with that one thing. Our drivers are our sales force. They are our marketing firm. They are our best asset.
Right. Have us hear a little bit about Universal Wood and what happens in a day and who are the people and who are the customers. We have one of your wonderful products, but...
Yes. Thank you. We're in Louisville, Kentucky. Also have a couple international locations. We have a couple hundred people that work with us, and we manufacture digitally imageable products. You guys got coasters earlier, but and that kind of stuff. And we've worked very hard over the last 10 to 15 years to dramatically reduce the distinctions between blue-collar and white-collar jobs. We've invested in training because we, like tons of other businesses, talk about continuous improvement, but we think continuous learning is absolutely the critical component to continual improvement. We haven't had a layoff in ever, and we haven't had a layoff in ever because if you want people to be committed to improvement, if you want people to be committed to automation, if you want people to be committed to making it work, they have to have confidence that they got a job at the end of the process. That's right. And so for us, we're saying, hey, we went through 2009, had our business drop off 25%, everybody still had a job.
How do you make it systematic? How do you make it stick?
One of the most critical pieces is we evaluate leaders of people on so many things, and one that's so often forgotten is, how many of your people have you developed to go do something else? If I'm accountable for making sure that everyone in my area has the opportunity to become better at their jobs or learn new skills to go to another job or learn skills that help them have a better life, that's one of those accountabilities that we view as very important.
So are you measured? Will you be measured on those?
Absolutely.
But I would suspect that that's unusual for a health system to measure its CEO on those.
I think that if you view that your organization is of service to your society and community, then it's within the mission that you espouse on a daily basis. And
how do you train your drivers? How do you build into your culture and into your system all of the things that you described a few minutes ago?
Well, remember, it's educate, not train, educate.
Okay, important. That's important. That's important.
Let them pick one of the drivers they want to go with, and they stay with them for a week or two.
And that driver knows how to
And that
teach?
driver, no, not really.
They just observed it.
They know what our why is. They know why we do what we do. So they teach that to a new individual.
Can I return to your question around pressures and whatever?
Sure.
The whole point of training, of investments in your workforce, et cetera, is to be able to deal with the pressures.
Say more about that. How do you?
Well, I mean, that's how do you become more productive? How do you become better able to have a safe work environment? How do you make a better quality product? How do you innovate around new stuff? You innovate around that through education and training and engagement and commitment. It's an advantage. It's not a disadvantage. We're blessed with stupid competition. You know, and if you have people who say, I can no longer afford to pay people a reasonable wage, if you have people who say, I can no longer afford to invest in training, they're in the process of going out of business. You know, and they can do some collateral damage while they're in the process of it, but they'll be gone. I mean, the people that stick, the people that stay, are the ones that are are committed, who have a vision, who have a strategy. But part of that strategy for all three of our businesses, and that's the reason we're sitting up here, is around investing in the people that
Right.
work with our business, because it's core to the success of the business.
Sure.
How many of you guys go to work and think of yourself as a unit labor cost for your employer? Anybody? I mean, do you want to be thought of in that way? But at the point where companies do, they reduce the people that work for their business to a notation on a P&L or a unit labor cost. And the idea is you have to reduce unit labor cost. And you probably do, except that if you only focus on unit labor cost and you're not thinking about quality, and you're not thinking about employee retention, and you're not thinking about customer retention, and you're not thinking about winning in the marketplace and how those people are going to help you win in the marketplace.
You're missing the point. Right.
Thank you.
I want to thank our panel. What an extraordinary group of gentlemen.